is here, and during the summer I try and organise different painting classes, just experimenting with the medium, trying out different colour combinations. And this week we're organising a class with metallic paints combined with watercolour paint to see what effects we can produce. So I've been having fun putting the paint on the paper and seeing what happens. And that's exactly what we're going to do today in our class. So come with me and let's paint. Today I'm playing with colour. I love to experiment and try different techniques just on a random piece of watercolour paper. And I have 3 examples of pictures that I've been playing with in the last few days. I'm using some metallic watercolours. The boxes here, I think they're Japanese, with different shades of gold and silver. And I have a variety of palettes already prepared. An interesting combination here, which is Windsor Blue Green shade with burnt sienna, which will give me a lovely sea green colour. Blues and sunset colours, Scarlet Lake, permanent rose and transparent yellow. And as you can see from the pictures here, this one's predominantly blue, so using the blue palette, and I've added silver to give the clouds an iridescent look. Here I've got a much stormier view, a sunset, and I've used gold and the combination of Windsor Blue Green shade and burnt sienna to give me this stormy look. And finally, I've gone completely abstract. I don't even know which way up it's the best way to see this, but it's just to play about with putting colour on, using white as well, and I have a palette with white. So it's just try it and see, and that's what we're going to do. I have a fresh piece of paper here, Arche Watercolour 300 gram paper, rough texture, and this is going to be our base for the experiment. So I'm just starting with the colours and mop brushes and 1 liner brush, 2 pots of water. So off we go. So let's get started with our picture. I've speeded the video up so it doesn't take too long, and I'm starting with my sunset colours, quite a strong mix of transparent yellow and Scarlet Lake. I'm just putting it on in one corner of the picture, and as you notice I've surrounded the colour with water, and now I'm going into the darker colours at the opposite end of the piece of paper. This is my burnt sienna Windsor Blue Green shade combination, and I'm putting it on dry paper because I want the colour to be intense, and I keep dropping colour in as well because I want that depth of colour. It's a lovely sea green colour, but I'm using the blue palette as well, so we have a mix of blues. And I'm being quite haphazard with my application of paint and leaving little bits of the paper, the white paper, showing little strips of white, because we're going to use these later to catch the light which is catching the heavy dark clouds. As I move down the page closer to the yellow, I'm diluting the colour a little, because the sunset, which I think it's going to be, I only really decided when I started it, is in the bottom right hand corner. Notice now I've spotted some permanent rose in. This is because if you have yellow and blue coming together on the paper, it will turn green, and we really don't want a green sunset. But if we add a little bit of pink, it won't go green at all. So this is something to remember for future reference. I tip the paper every so often so that the blending happens. And because this technique very much relies on all the paper being wet all of the time, I'm adding more paint in the sections which started to dry, because it's quite a warm day today. And again, I keep moving the paper so that we get a lovely blending happening. Now I've got my white palette, and I've tried to zoom in a little so you can see how the white reacts when it meets the colour. I'm just using the little flashes of white paper that I've left, and you can see it starts to spread and make its way into the colour. These are my cloud highlights, but at this point they don't really look like clouds or highlights. But remember, watercolours change, and when we stop using the brush and interacting with the paint, the effect that is created will continue. I'm moving it a little to let it blend a little, because we want that feeling of light going up into the sky, going up into the darker cloud. And I'm putting a fringe of white paint along the limit of the dark clouds. It looks quite artificial at the moment, but remember, it will change. And now the silver paint goes on, and provided your paint is wet, your darker paint is wet, the metallic paint will zoom in to the colour and create some lovely effects. I've been playing about with this all week and got quite excited about it, because you can get lots of lovely effects. If it was a sea picture as well, we could use it in the same way as I did in the first image we had with the blue sea. And now I've moved it and manipulated it a little. I'm adding a little bit more white paint to the limits of the clouds. It's quite therapeutic and it's quite fun to do, and I'm not really all that concerned about how it will turn out, although it will be a waste of a video if it looks rubbish at the end. But sometimes you've just got to give it a try and tell yourself, well, it's only a bit of paper at the end of the day. This way you learn how paints interact with one another, and you get good ideas about how to create different effects. And this is exactly what I'm doing, just having fun. Now I'm adding a little bit more colour to blend some of the white areas, because if it's not moving on its own, I need to help it to move. But you have to give a watercolour time to evolve, because it will, and it will change as you go. I'm adding a little bit more darker colour to an area which has started to dry, because now I have to think about my sunset and introducing some gold into the picture. But I need to put it alongside the wet paint, not on a dry area. So you see the gold is now going into the mix of burnt sienna and Windsor blue-green shade. And I put paint on the other side as well so it can blend the other way, this time with a hint of permanent rose and yellow. More gold, because this is the last of the sun as it descends below the horizon. I'm planning to put landscape mountains on the base of this picture, and this is where technology went completely awry, if you like, because I started the mountains and then discovered it wasn't recording. Apologies for the technological hitch. So here you see I'm consolidating the background landscape, the mountains that I put into the video, which we missed because of my technical error. I'm using a mix of Payne's Grey and Burnt Sienna, and I've added a little bit of red also on the right hand side just to echo the light coming from the sunset. I'm thinking about the foreground now, and I have already put in a diluted form of Payne's Grey and Burnt Sienna to give the feeling of the lakeside with the ripples on the water, which I'm adding a little bit more contrasting colour to now. Just delicately using the liner brush to do this, and then I have washed it in with a larger brush just to soften it. We don't want the lines to be too harsh at this stage. It's very much a minimal process. We don't want to go overboard. The real detail is in the sky, and I'm using a dry brush technique here to give texture to the foreshore. And I think that's it. There we have it. Our picture is finished using metallic paint and watercolours together. If you enjoyed my video, thank you for watching. I hope it's encouraged you to have a go at mixing colours, using metallic paints with your watercolours, and just enjoying the process of putting the paint on the paper and seeing what happens. I leave you with the image we've just created. Paint's still not dry. Here it is, a beautiful sunset. Thank you for watching. Bye.